Back to Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 7:16. Joining me right now is Andy Kahn. He's a crime victim advocate here in Houston. Pat McCann, defense attorney and prison reformist. Andy, Pat, welcome to the show. Great to have you both with me.
You bet.
Thanks.
Andy, let me start with you. We're talking about letting prisoners out of jail early, and I'm talking about violent prisoners, or at least those accused of violent crimes.
Well, they're not accused, Pat. If they're in jail, they're convicted.
They are convicted, all right. But I mean, they're getting out of jail. Pat would argue they're old men, they're older, they've done some time, maybe not all of it, and many of them are coming to Harris County. Explain to me why this concerns you.
Well, for victims and the people that I deal with, for victims of violent crime, it's a never-ending cycle that they have to endure every 1 to 2 years. You never really get a chance to heal because you're constantly getting parole notices, and it brings back the haunting, distancing memories of what happened to you and your family. So for victims, it's like it's a never-ending nightmare. It's a revolving door that they have to go through. In reality, they also, too, got a lengthy or a life sentence, too.
And, Pat, you can certainly understand what Andy is talking about, but at the same time, we've got overcrowding issues, correct?
Well, I think the hard-headed reality is that if you put people in a prison and you give them no reason to work towards reform and rehabilitation, such as getting clean, and most people are in prison, let's be clear, for nonviolent crimes, but even the violent ones, as they age, the statistics are very clear that they become far less violent, and they need to sit there and have an incentive to work to get out. Otherwise, you're putting them in next to people who have done nothing violent, maybe have committed a property crime. Or
but what about those prisoners, those convicted of crimes where they're sent away for life, and even though they're sent away for life, they're not doing life?
Well, the life folks are a small category of the very large number of prisoners we send out, and they are not eligible for parole until at least 30 calendar years have passed. 30 calendar years, not good time years, calendar years. So if you take them in at 20, then you put him in at 50, he comes up for parole for the first time. Respectfully, 30 years have gone by. Hopefully that man is a different person. I think if anybody looks at themselves and says, at 50 they're the same as they were at 20, I would submit that they're damn fools.
All right, gentlemen, hang on for me. Excellent conversation. When we come back, I want to talk, and I'll start with you, Andy, about these prisoners coming back, many of them to Harris County, and what that means for those of us that live in Harris County. Gentlemen, I thank you again both for taking the time this morning. Andy, let me start with you. A lot of these prisoners that are getting the early release, getting paroled, are coming to Harris County. We can see that. Is that of some concern to some of the victims?
Oh, absolutely. Some of your listeners, Matt, will probably not so affectionately remember when we were coined the nickname of the parolees' paradise in the early 90s, and that's when about 8 out of every 10 parole-eligible inmate was getting released. I keep track of the numbers of violent offenders who are returned back to Harris County from prison, and I have noticed an alarming increase this year. An example would be in 2008, we were getting approximately 72 violent offenders back every month, and in 2011, it really boomed up to about 117 a month. So it's something we really want to keep a red eye on.
And, Pat, why is that? Why are they coming to Harris County? Is it because we're more lenient here?
No, it's because the Harris County sends the majority of people in the state to prison. It's a simple thing. You return the person to the county that they started from, and Harris County sends over 1/3 of the inmates across the state and into the system. So
it's about 25%.
Yeah, I heard D.A. Lyko saying that wasn't necessarily true, that a lot of these folks are not coming originally from Harris County.
Well, the problem with D.A. Lykos's figures are that I respectfully think she's off. Now, there is a program within TDCJ, and Andy may be familiar with this, but in order to save costs on return, they will sometimes put you in the nearest large urban center in the theory that you can get from there to wherever you're going. If, for instance, you live in Liberty. But normally you're supposed to be taking a bus, and there are buses from almost every place you're put in TDCJ to the return county.
All right, Pat and Andy, I thank you so much. Obviously, it is something that we're going to continue to track. I thank you both for your perspectives on this issue, and we'll continue to touch base with you guys as we continue to watch how many people are being released from our prisons early, on parole and for other reasons, and how many of them are coming to Harris County.